First off, I want to thank the brave men and women who work behind the wall. I want to thank them on a national level because their job goes unrecognized.
How do they try to turn a guard?
Well, correctional officer. Sorry, I apologize. But correctional officer. How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Ganji, host of Tear Talk, guys. I'm a little under the weather, but I wanted to get this video out. Got a little bit of a cold. But someone sent me a question today about, have I ever had a positive impact on an inmate? So this question is probably coming from the outside looking in. And I think that's a great question to ask. I also think that's a question that we can also engage in the dialogue in the comments. I will make sure once this video is done, I give them the link. But I'm going to share a story with you in which I feel I did create a positive impact. And I think it's great for people to see this side of the profession. So why not open up a discussion on this and then also hear your comments, because that will balance the discussion and hopefully provide people with another perspective, a more honest and truthful perspective. So we come back from our sponsor, I'm going to share a story where I feel I had a positive impact on an inmate's life. Now guys, if you haven't, the show Tear Talks for you brave men and women that work in corrections, so please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. That bell is going to notify you every time I post up a video. And don't forget to share these videos too. If you like it, share it, post it on your social media. Now guys, we come back for our sponsor, we are going to discuss a positive impact I had on an inmate's life. All right, guys, stand by for our sponsor.
I wanted to attend a university that had an intelligence program. I wanted to look at problems different. I wanted to increase my critical thinking abilities. AMU offered those avenues to expand. Obtaining your degree as an adult, you're actually paying yourself and investing in yourself. You can't put a dollar on it, it's priceless. It's something that can never be taken away from you.
American Military University. Learn from the leader.
Thank you guys for listening to my sponsor. So this is a great question. It caused me to look back when I was an officer. Now guys, just for your information, the only time I was an officer was when I was at a female facility. When I started to move up, I started working with men. But my career as an officer was only with females. So when I tell this story, it's really my interaction with the female population. I like to believe that's where I could have had the biggest impact, because as I move up, I think at that point my biggest impact is going to be with staff. I like to believe that's the case. So again, I went back to when I was an officer, and I was saying, okay, well, let's see. Let me really think about this. So I was thinking about the inmates who, in my mind, had the biggest change of behavior, so from negative to positive, and there were a few. And you know guys, there were times where you would have inmates, they may do something foolish, and whether I was there to put the handcuffs on them, or maybe after they did whatever it is they did, they're being escorted from one area to the other, there'd be eye contact made. And during the eye contact, they would look at me and they would actually say, I'm sorry. And for a while, I couldn't understand, why would they apologize to me? Because they would be the ones that would have to go through those consequences. They actually hurt themselves. And it took me a while to realize that I think they were apologizing to me because when we had these interactions, I would give them a level of expectation for themselves to reach. And I really do think that they wanted to reach that expectation. And sometimes the situation got the best of them. So with that said, going back through my history as a frontline officer, I was able to pull out one inmate that I think I had the biggest impact on. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and say their name, but I'll talk briefly of our interaction. Now, mind you guys, I was young in the profession too. I had just started, maybe 25, 26 years old. So I was still discovering my way through this profession. But I know coming in that I wanted to be seen as reliable. I wanted to be trusted by the inmate population. I wanted to be trusted by staff, don't get me wrong, that's key. But I wanted to be trusted by the inmate population. I wanted them to see me as someone that they can rely on to do the right thing. That was key for me. And that kind of deals with that consistency, being fair, firm, and consistent. Very key in our profession, being fair, firm, and consistent. So again, I'm not looking to trust the population, but I still want them to trust me. That's key. So I remember there was an incident where there was a code that went off. A group of inmates were fighting in a yard. And we had responded to the code. There was a new girl in the yard. And she was just ripping it up. Like, that's the culture she was involved in. She thought the moment she came into this facility, she had to make her mark on this world. And what she did, man, was as soon as she got into this one unit, she started battling with a few inmates. And when I first dealt with this individual, she had a very tough persona that I would thought would be impossible to crack. And again, I was new, so I don't even know what my role is yet. I just know that here I am putting the handcuffs on this individual. I don't know her from a hole in the wall. It's the first time we ever had an interaction, and the interaction is just putting handcuffs on somebody. But we're doing the escort. And this whole time, this inmate kept this tough persona. Like, she would not break. So, go through the whole routine after a fight. You got to do the whole routine. You got to make sure you take the inmate to medical. You got to make sure they're evaluated and then cleared to be placed in whatever the holding area is. And again, that's so they can go through the charges that they have to face. So again, there was no interaction between me and this individual the whole time. Just the fact that I handcuffed her and that we were escorting her from point A to point B. Later that night, I happened to be doing my rounds, and I hear crying in a cell. And, we have to check on that. A lot of people don't know the many roles we play, but we have to check on that. We could have an inmate that's disturbed. So I remember seeing the inmate a little bit further in the back of the cell. When I look a little closer, I remember exactly who that inmate is. That's the inmate that earlier in the day I had escorted from point A to point B. That was the inmate that really I thought would be a hard shell to crack. This was an inmate that made her mark in this world, came into this facility, did what she had to do, and then kind of had the whole tough image the whole way, but not here. Not when she was by herself. So at first, I was going to walk away, and I said, you know what? There's a human side of me too. So I went back, and I had said, hey, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but you should allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. That tough image that you had, it really, in the long run, doesn't mean nothing. What means something right now is that you know that you're better than the choice you just made. And the reason why you're crying right now is because it's your body and your mind telling you that you're better than this. Very brief interaction. I mean, that's pretty much what was said. She goes through her time. She gets found guilty, goes through her time. I think maybe like 6 months later, she returns back to the facility, because at the time, that's how it was done. They would have to go out. And then when they did their AGSEG time, they would come back once completed. So again, at this point, I got 6 months more in. I'm kind of trying to find my way. But, again, having those positive interactions, or trying to have positive interactions. So I remember being in the mess hall, and I think I was saying something as simple as take off your hats or something. And I saw this individual stand up. Now, mind you, I barely recognized who this individual was, because she was only in my facility briefly. And there was some pointing towards the glass where I was behind from the inmate. And I'm like, who is this individual? Like, why are they pointing towards the glass? Anyway, when the inmates escorted out, when they, mess is done and they leave, we start to clean up. And when I step out, there's the individual. And I said, hey. She goes, Ganji. And I said, hey, I know you. She goes, you remember me from 6 months ago when we had this issue, blah, blah, and you saw me in the hole? And I said, oh, yeah, I remember. She goes, no one ever took a time out to give me that advice. I said, I don't even remember at that point what I had said. The reason why I know it now is because she reminded me of it every day almost. And I said, what did I say? And she told me. And I said, well, I believe in that. I believe that at that moment you felt that you were better than the place you were in, and it was your body and mind telling you that. And she goes, well, I appreciate, you taking the time out and telling me that. Now, mind you, she was young, maybe 19 years old. And it's good that we tell this story, because people don't see the lighter side of this. People don't see our interactions and how positive they can be, the influence that you can have that can change someone's path immediately, as long as they're willing to listen. So anyway, throughout this time this person was in this facility, I think it was maybe 4 years and change. This was the beginning of my career. So we had a lot of interactions, and I saw the struggle of who she was and who she needed to be. I saw that going back and forth. And I started to realize that I feel like I'm giving her these simple solutions, but the environment doesn't allow those solutions to happen because it's a different culture. So something as easy as telling someone to walk away is not going to be that easy for that individual because of the culture that's supposed to happen inside that prison. But then you actually start to see that individual do that. An individual that was so impulsive starts to make that change and just says, you know what, you're not worth it. Where the old individual would have jumped and snapped on that, not afraid to fight, she's starting to think ahead. And I start to think in my mind, wow, that's pretty impressive, because I know that takes extra effort for her, because she is trying to do the right thing. And I know that comes from me putting that expectation on her, and then her so badly wanting to meet that expectation. And now this happened in the course of 4 years. So someone that came into this facility thinking they were a badass, and then eventually within those 4 years, I saw the change. I mean, yeah, there was a few fallbacks, but for the most part, I saw every effort to move forward. And I saw the struggle. And I remember being there for a few of those struggles and just kind of supporting where she needed to be. Anyway, make the long story short, when she maxed out, I got a chance to see her one last time in the facility, and she thanked me. Simple thank you. It was great. And I kind of thought, hey, this was actually a pretty good thing. I mean, I simplified the story a little bit because there's a lot of interactions that we had, but a lot of back and forth, but the thank you mattered because these were two strangers that met in a very unique circumstance, but I was able to have a positive influence in an environment that says these influences don't happen. So I thought that was pretty cool. That means that no matter what the situation is, we make the best of it. We have the power to make the best of the situations that we're in. But I'm very curious about your story. I would love to hear your positive impact. That's mine. As always, the show is Tier Talk. If you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. That bell's going to notify you every time I post a video. Stay safe.